We could really be in for a very long secular bull market here. And, this could take us much, much higher. And it's an amazing time to be involved in Bitcoin because you're really getting in before this sort of tidal wave of money has had time to sort of deploy. So just to recap, I think, we're looking at, 10 times as much money that has ever been involved in Bitcoin, hitting the Bitcoin ecosystem.
Welcome to our channel. In today's video, we're diving into an insightful discussion by Fred Krueger. Fred Krueger begins by painting a picture of the potential for a significant long-term bull market in Bitcoin. He emphasizes that we might be on the cusp of a tidal wave of money entering the Bitcoin ecosystem, which could push prices much higher than we've seen before. This influx of capital is set to dwarf previous investments in Bitcoin, creating unprecedented demand. One of the key points Krueger makes is the reluctance of current Bitcoin holders to sell their assets. As demand increases and supply remains limited, basic economic principles suggest that prices will rise. This scenario creates a compelling investment opportunity for those getting involved in Bitcoin now, before the full impact of this increased demand is felt. Krueger supports his argument with historical data, highlighting past bull and bear cycles in Bitcoin. He refers to significant price increases, such as the 5,000% surge during the Mt. Gox era and subsequent cycles of dramatic growth and correction. Despite these fluctuations, the overall trend has been upward, and Krueger believes this pattern will continue. He predicts strong returns in the coming years, with potential for triple-digit annual growth rates.
We could really be in for a very long secular bull market here. This could take us much, much higher. And it's an amazing time to be involved in Bitcoin because you're really getting in before this sort of tidal wave of money has had time to sort of deploy. So just to recap, I think, we're looking at, 10 times as much money that has ever been involved in Bitcoin, hitting the Bitcoin ecosystem. And they're going to have to buy this Bitcoin from people like me. That's just a fact, And guys like me don't want to sell their Bitcoin. So that's going to push the price higher. It's supply, it's demand. I think that the numbers are extremely compelling. So, and the last thing I just want to bring up is Matt's, he had a very good chart. And I think this chart, really illustrates exactly what's going on. It's just annual returns. So we see, we've had, obviously the first 3 years were exceptional, right? With Mt. Gox doing 5,000% in 2013. So it was up 50x in 2013. Then the crash of Mt. Gox. Then we have the sort of second bull market culminating in the 14x rise in December. It actually it went higher in December, right? But it only shows up as 14x. Followed by the 75% retracement, followed by almost the same kind of thing but on a much more muted scale in the next cycle, and then we have this cycle. So I would caution that do we expect 2026 to be a big negative? I'm not so sure it will be. Do I expect more double-digit or returns here? Yeah, I do. I think triple-digit. I think we're going to get 100% return rate in 2025. We might have 100% or 75% in 2026. This is going to be a great 4 years here. So, and by the way, this is only half done. So we're in pretty good shape. We're, as Matt says, we're exactly right on target. I agree with this. This is an exciting time to be alive. If you look at the wealth that's in America, you have 20% is self-directed. That's people who trade for their own account. 40% is managed money, so that's people who trade, who make investment decisions for other people. And then 40% is institutions. So pension funds, insurance companies, other people who manage money institutionally. And until this ETF, which happened on January 11th, you had no way for these 80% of these institutions to take part in this market. And even the other 20%, they really had to do something, an extra step, right? They had to either self-custody, which is incredibly complicated for the average person, or they had to trust an exchange like Coinbase or Kraken, which although they work fine, they're not FDIC insured, they're not common names, they're not like, Schwab or, Vanguard or Fidelity or something like that. So until very recently, let's just say 90% of the people either were completely shut out or just they're basically very highly incentivized not to partake in the Bitcoin marketplace. And that all changed. Now, it didn't completely change overnight because, again, as Matt said, the fact that the Bitcoin ETF was approved doesn't mean that it's going to be approved on all the platforms.
Krueger also addresses the skepticism that some traditional financial institutions have towards Bitcoin. For instance, Vanguard has been reluctant to embrace Bitcoin, viewing it as a speculative asset rather than a legitimate investment. However, as Bitcoin continues to gain acceptance and prove its value, Krueger believes that even the most skeptical institutions will eventually come around. The integration of Bitcoin into traditional financial systems also has broader implications for the market. It legitimizes Bitcoin as an asset class, attracting even more investors and driving further adoption. Krueger envisions a future where Bitcoin is a standard part of investment portfolios, similar to stocks and bonds.
For example, I have an account at Goldman Sachs. I can't buy Bitcoin ETFs on Goldman Sachs. Same with Morgan Stanley. Same with a lot of places, right? And so we're still in this sort of rollout phase of the ability of these platforms to offer the ETF to their users. So, and furthermore, finally, if you look at the advisor market, that market takes a while to kind of get going. And why does it? Well, they've got to make two kinds of due diligence decisions. First of all, they have to decide really if their firm wants to be involved in Bitcoin. Some people don't. Vanguard doesn't. They don't believe that Bitcoin's a real asset. They don't really like gold either. Other people are just looking at Bitcoin very, very much for the first time, right? So, if you're a pension fund or an insurance company, you have all this mechanism for looking at stocks or bonds. There's people who understand the markets. They've got models. They've never really looked at Bitcoin as in a sort of serious way, like we're going to put 1, 2, 3, 5% of our money in Bitcoin. So they've got to do a little bit of due diligence, or actually a lot of due diligence, before they even come to that decision, because they've got fiduciary duty for a lot of money, and nobody wants to lose their job because they bought Bitcoin and it turns out to be a scam. It's not a scam, but they need to get to that point. So we forget that as Bitcoiners. So I think this process is now, we're now, 5 months into this process where we're just starting to see some of these places like Morgan Stanley. There's news, and not quite news, but there's rumors that they may be close to accepting Bitcoin on their platform. So this rollout phase is just getting going right now. And I think this is very, very bullish, right? And it's not just bullish over the next 3 months. It's not just like a little hit. No, this is bullish over the next 3, 4, 5 years.
Krueger supports his argument with historical data, highlighting past bull and bear cycles in Bitcoin. He refers to significant price increases, such as the 5,000% surge during the Mt. Gox era and subsequent cycles of dramatic growth and correction. Despite these fluctuations, the overall trend has been upward, and Krueger believes this pattern will continue. He predicts strong returns in the coming years, with potential for triple-digit annual growth rates. Krueger is optimistic about the long-term impact of institutional adoption on Bitcoin's price. He emphasizes that this is not just a short-term trend, but a bullish signal for the next several years. As more platforms integrate Bitcoin ETFs and more institutions complete their due diligence, the flow of institutional money into Bitcoin will increase steadily. Please like and subscribe my channel.